notice how I'm orienting the drawing paper in relation to the whole area to be drawn. As you can see, the long dimension going from left to right here, the long dimension is oriented to the long dimension of the area that I want to map out. Now, the short dimension going from top to bottom here is oriented in the short dimension of my area to be mapped out, going from, say, the house and then going towards the street. The next thing we want to do is level the board from front to back and left to right. In this case, we're going from front to back, from the street to the house, and we have it on about level. Why are we doing this? Well, this is only necessary if you're trying to establish some elevation marks or relative elevation marks. Okay, then we're going to level it from left to right. Okay, let's see how we... Of course, in a level, you want to try to put the bubble between those two black lines. So it looks like we're okay. This is close enough for our work. We're not surveyors. We're just trying to get an idea of relative elevations of our garden. Now, after you level it, of course you're going to use the adjustments on your tripod. If you have just a card table, well, maybe you're going to have to put some books under your card table to level it, and although that's going to be a little shaky. Of course, this is the best method, is the tripod method. It's a little more stable. I made this tripod out of, I used some plumbing. I put a plumbing part that I screwed into the top, and then the pipe of the plumbing comes through, and this bottom part of the plumbing screws down on a washer, and it tightens the whole thing up. Works quite well, and I still have the tripod I can use for my photography. After we have a plane table set up, the paper's positioned, the board is leveled. Okay, now we're ready to see where is our pin going to be placed. Now the pin represents, on this piece of drawing paper, we probably have if in real life, this is a 12-inch ruler. So in real life, we have about 100 feet by, well, that's, the whole length of the ruler would be 120, but we actually have a total of 170 feet, being a 17-inch piece of paper. But in any event, what we want to do is take our pin, and what we want to do is locate our plane table on this drawing board. All right, we're going to start a little bit off the edge of the drawing paper, and what we're going to do is say, okay, in real life, our plane table is located how far from the house? What we're going to do is walk this out.
How to use your average step. Once you've determined your average step, then you can use it to determine the measurement. You first walk the distance from your plane table to your target object, counting your total steps. Then you take your total steps and multiply by your average step. The resultant figure will be the figure you use on your 1-inch equal 10-foot scale. It is helpful to have a calculator to do this. For example, let's take the average step I figured for me, which is 2.22. If I walk out a total of 17 steps to get to my target object, then the figure I use on my scale ruler will be 2.22 feet per step times 17 steps, equal to about 38 feet.
Now, I just walked 17 steps from my plane table to the house. Now, what you do, you know that your constant's going to be 2.22. That's for me, my step is 2.22 feet. So with that being the constants, I enter 2.22 times number of steps, which was 17, and then that's 37.74, or about 38 feet. Just a hint here, if you put in your average step first, multiply it times your number of steps you measure for the first time, all you have to do from here on out is to put in your next step measurement. Let's say you walked out 20 steps. All you need to do is put in 20 equal, and that's about 44. That you don't have to put in that constant of 2.22 in all the time. You just put in the number of steps and equal. Now, if you have a programmable calculator, like I have a HP 12C here, you can program it so that it automatically multiplies by your average step. So what I do is put it into programming mode, clear all the programs out, and then start programming 2.22 times. Take it out of program mode. Now all you need to do is press 1 and then RS, which is run stop, and you get 2.22. Then what I do is put 17 run, and I get 37.74, or about 38 feet. Now that I've figured that it's 38 feet from the house, what I want to do is, the house is going to be at the limits of my drawing over here, where the pencil is. So what I'm going to do is come in about 38 feet. Well, actually, what I'm going to do is come in about 40 feet, or a little more. So what I want to do is kind of mark a line right along here that shows the distance of my plane table from my house, which is going to be right here. Maybe I'll bring it in a little further because I want some drawing space over here in case my board isn't parallel to the house so much. Now, the next thing I want to do is measure the distance from the plane table to the edge of my lot. So let's walk that out. I'll walk 14 steps from here to the edge of the lot, but I probably want to put about 18 steps in there because I want to have enough room on this side of the drawing to, in case my board isn't perfectly parallel or whatever. So what I'm doing is I take my calculator, I put in 18 and then run stop, and that shows 40 feet. So I want to come back about 45 or 50 feet, and that would be about right here. So now what I do is I cross this line with this line, and I put a point there. That's going to be the location of my plane table on this paper in relation to where the house and the driveway and everything else is going to be on the paper. So now I'm going to insert my pin at that location. Now, at this point, what I would do is erase most of the lines, but have a couple of crosshairs in there. Have a couple of crosshairs to indicate the pin, and write on the drawing that is the pin location. You don't want to forget that because you may have to come back to this, you might have to set this table up again. I'll tell you why in this seminar and a later seminar.